Good evening, everybody. I just want to thank Zeitgeist and Oliver for bringing me to my sanity. It's nice to meet all of you, and I want to just say I so respect the young people today and the things you're involved in, and find it very inspiring. So I'm going to talk about co-housing and how I got to understand a little bit about what that means. I still have a lot to learn, but I have a feeling I'm going to be living it pretty soon. Anyone who wants to look at this book later, I'm going to make it available, and we can pass it around, and as long as I know it's going to come back to me, it's all good. So, whatever it. Okay, so I woke up when that happened. Well, not quite woke up, but I got shocked. And then I looked for answers, and I found Zeitgeist, and it started me on a path that has changed my life. And then I heard about Evolver, and I went to a permaculture demonstration with Convergence permaculture, and I learned that there were solutions out there. And I got excited, and I heard about co-housing, well, or something like that. Oh, sorry, do you have a question there?
No, I just wanted to encourage you to speak more directly into the mic so that you're a bit louder.
Oh, okay. Probably need to raise it a bit.
Yeah, you're tall.
Yeah, I'm tall. It's all that cornflakes and milk. Sorry, Carol. Okay, so a little bit about myself. Yeah, I kind of went over that. So, next one. I'm going to be real quick, by the way, because I don't know very much at this point. Okay, I'd never heard of co-housing before, and when you Google it, you can come up with some interesting things here already. There's this man called Chuck Durrett. I'll be talking about him a little later. He wrote that book down there. He worked on the Dragonfly co-housing project in Calgary. I was surprised to hear that. I didn't even know that there was co-housing in Calgary. And there's a Canadian organization that people that are intending to build are looking for land, or they have a shared intention that they want to express within their community. So go. I think that's great. So next slide. This is the only slide I'm going to read. This is on the website of z-com.ca, and I'll show you. It's written down a little later, so if you want to jot it down. ZCOM is an intentional community, a co-housing community, to be legally structured as a strata, with the farmland owned and held in common. For those who are not familiar with co-housing, first know what it is not. It is not shared beds, not shared kitchens, not shared finances, and it is not a hippie commune. Co-housing is a clean, modern, intentional community, a strata complex, where we wish to build timeless, resilient, beautiful homes in a well-planned village setting that utilizes the organic farmland for our health and food security, that utilizes forms of modern renewable energy and waste treatment technology for our energy security, self-sufficiency, and comfort, and that utilizes other forms of technology to pool resources and eliminate waste, enhance leisure time, ensure adequate private and public spaces, and establish a very high standard of living beyond what any single individual or family in a community could hope to achieve on their own. Also, we don't want to develop a community that only rich people can afford to live in. Although the members must be financially independent to participate initially, we want the richness of the community to be derived from the diversity of the individuals in the projects. We work towards a common vision. Thus, we will have individually owned homes as well as some homes for rent. Okay, so I won't go over all of this, but this is a project that is under development in Lumley, BC, near Vernon, east of Vernon, on the way to beautiful Maple Lake. If any of you know that, it's on the Maple Lake Road. I've never been there before. It's absolutely gorgeous. Just as a side note, Raz knows Will very well. I'd never met him before. The gentleman's name who owns the land. He's a young MD named Will Goddard, and he's an extremely awesome dude. I hope you all get to meet him. He's really cool. And so forward-thinking and generous. I can't just say enough about him. We really hit it off. Anyway, let's go to the next slide. All of this is on the website, by the way, so I won't worry with all the details. If you're really interested, it's easy to find information about this. This is the 15 commandments that Willem came up with. It's sort of like the tenets of the Zeitgeist movement, although this isn't a Zeitgeist official sanctioned kind of a community, because think of it as a transitional thing. It's not like Venus Project. Maybe we'll get there down the road, but for now, this is all about learning to be sustainable with the land. And I think we'll be probably trying out a lot of things there that will be of benefit to a lot of people in the years to come. Next slide. Okay, so I don't even know where I'm here. Oh yeah, this brown farmhouse here is the original farmhouse, and it's rented. He has it rented out right now. And over on the right is a yellow barn. It's an extremely large building. Oh, by the way, I should mention that the Zeitgeist, they had a meetup there in May, I believe. A whole bunch of them went camping. I know Raz went.
Next May too.
Next May too. Okay.
Camping party right here.
Yeah. It looked like a pretty cool place. I'll go into a little bit of detail about it. Well, I saw it. It's anyway. This is what it looks like in the winter. Not quite very green, but still extremely beautiful. There's a plateau up by the road. I'll show you a map a little later. But this part is high ground, and down below the yellow barn is down in the pasture land. It's on a floodplain, but it doesn't flood very often, and water is very good to replenish the earth anyway. But the actual housing development will be up high, fairly close to the road. This is the area down here where the housing would go, and Willem is considering putting in a wellness clinic on site. He'd have his own practice there, as well as other holistic practitioners and a spa, all that kind of cool stuff. So there's only 2 existing structures on the site at the moment, and I think they'll both eventually be torn down, but they will serve a lot of wonderful usefulness in the meantime. For example, I was thinking about all these permaculturalists who would probably get an opportunity to teach in that building. I think I have a picture of the inside of it. It's kind of a strange looking building, and inside.
It's got blue floors inside.
Yeah, and it's got a full kitchen, like brand new, and bathrooms, and it's massive, and I don't really understand. It's even got a toilet in the middle of a huge room with no walls around it. The guy who used to own the property was a bit of a character, apparently. And but we'll make good use of it in the meantime. You might want to consider it to host permaculture functions there. I personally see down the road, you have a whole bunch of young people on the site learning how to live sustainably with the land. I would love to teach them classes, and I wouldn't charge a cent for it. Not that I'm an extremely good teacher, but I would, working all together, and we could have host lectures, and I could, my mind just goes crazy thinking of all the possibilities down the road. Yeah, okay, next slide. Okay, so up at the plateau, this would be the area where we would probably put the clinic, an area where a lot of people get a chance to look at the view. So down there is, it's, by the way, it's 32 acres, I believe, he owns now. He's looking at getting another 6. Technically, he owns 22. He's waiting for final permission for 10, and then there's another 6 he's probably going to get. And then there's a creek running through it. The creek is over this way, but there's salmon, spring salmon, and trout in the creek. And it's so gorgeous and clean, and you can just drink the water, apparently. Didn't get a chance to try that. And there's even a sandy, well, not sandy, there's a beach on the other side, and he owns that piece of property on the other side of the creek too. And they're going to put in a little footbridge, and they're going to put in a log, and apparently if you put a log in the right spot, the water will swirl and it'll create like a, no, what do you call those? No, to swim in, a swimming hole, because it's a little shallow at the moment. But if you do it right, it'll dig out a swimming hole for you. And this is Maple Lake over here. I just thought that was awesome. That's like a half-an-hour drive from the site. I was just so impressed with it. Oh, and there's me. That's kissing a 60-foot diameter geodesic greenhouse. This guy has really been thinking ahead, so I can't wait to have a cup of tea sitting in that greenhouse and dreaming about what's going to be growing in it. Okay, let's go. So this is just a very preliminary plan that was drawn up. Will had a friend of his do it. I don't know how much you can see from here, but the brown farmhouse you saw was over here, and the barn was over here. It's a fairly large property. He's planning to put in a vermiculture operation, like a real commercial scale vermiculture. 3 greenhouses. Here's your orchards. There's some trees we have to deal with, but we'll see what we can do. There's an amphitheater, room for 30 houses, the gray ones in the triangle. Community gardens. You'd use go-karts to go back and forth because there wouldn't be any cars allowed on the site. It's very safe for children. A little common green area. A community house. Common house where you'd have a full kitchen and facilities for an event. And the parking lot would be over here. Now, the way co-housing workshops work is that the intended people who plan to live there are going to be actually planning all this. It works by consensus. So I'm really excited because that process is going to happen in February. My husband and myself and my daughter, we're all planning to go back out there and be part of the process. We think we're going to go all the way with this one. I'll tell you a little bit more about that because if you want to go, we think it's going to be in Kelowna. I'm not 100% sure about that yet. But the people who are planning to commit will put down some money, $550 actually. But anybody can go and observe the process if you want to learn how co-housing can work and see how we can arrive at consensus and the whole process. This is a piece of granite from the local quarry, and we think we're going to be using a lot of this material in the building. The housing is not going to be, unfortunately, it's not going to be too exotic in terms of like earthship, although I would love to live in something like that. There's a number of people Will has already brought on board who, to quote one of them, I don't want to live in a mud hut. So, obviously there's some education that needs to be done there. I personally plan to use as much caulk as I can, and I'm going to, introduce them to it. There's tons of wonderful clay on the site. I haven't done a test yet to see exactly how good it is, but it looks like it's 100% clay. So we'll have to get some sand. Anyway, that's a different kind of problem we usually have. So that's a creek that runs through it, and it actually touches the property in 2 different spots. It actually borders. So I could just imagine a whole bunch of people putting tubes down one end and floating to the other, and I'm running tube races all day. I might get to go tubing. And so here's a picture on the architect's website of a workshop in place. That's how it works. That's the architect over there, Chuck Durrett. And that's his book, and I'm just about done here. Yeah, so what do we got next? Yeah, so the workshop, like I said, will probably be, well, I know it's going to happen on February, what's that, 25th and 26th, probably in Kelowna. If you want to check out the website, I invite you to check it out, www.z-com.ca. And if there's any questions that come to mind, and I don't know if I can answer them, but if you want to contact me at that email address, I'd be happy to give you more information if I can. And thanks for listening.